You know the duo, the scheming gray cat and the endlessly clever brown mouse. For over 80 years, they've been the undisputed champs of the cartoon chase. Perfect ballet of anvils, frying pans, and ridiculously intricate traps. They are, of course, Tom and Jerry. But what if I told you they weren't always Tom and Jerry? In their very first cartoon, they had completely different names. So how did they end up with the names that became famous all over the world? The story behind it is a wild one. It's a tale of desperation, a $50 bet, and a piece of 19th century history that's been all but forgotten. It all started back in 1939 at the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, or MGM, cartoon studio. Now, MGM was a giant in live-action movies, the home of superstars and blockbuster films. But in animation, they were getting crushed. Studios like Disney with Mickey Mouse and Warner Bros. With Looney Tunes were the kings of the field. MGM's cartoon department was seen as a money loser, and the pressure was on to create a hit. Enter William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. Hanna was a master of timing and directing, while Barbera was a brilliant storyboard artist. They were teamed up and given a mission: create anything, that could compete with the other studios. They needed a smash hit, and they needed it fast. They kicked around a few ideas, but one simple concept kept rising to the top: a cat and a mouse. It was a classic rivalry that everyone instantly understood. It was universal. With the world on the brink of war, a straightforward, funny cartoon about a cat chasing a mouse felt like a safe bet. The comedy was all visual, which meant it could cross language and cultural barriers. They pitched the idea, but the reception was lukewarm.
Huh?
A cat and mouse cartoon? Wasn't that old news? Despite the doubt, Hanna and Barbera got the green light to make one short. They had one shot to prove their idea had legs. Hanna and Barbera poured everything they had into that one cartoon. The result was a 1940 short called Puss Gets the Boot. Watching it today, it feels both familiar and a little strange. The gags are all there, the cat's over-the-top reactions, the mouse's clever escapes. But the names are different. In this first film, the cat wasn't Tom. He was called Jasper. And the mouse, he was technically unnamed in the cartoon itself, but in the pre-production notes, he was called Jinx. The plot is simple. Jasper, the house cat, is having a great time tormenting the little mouse. But the household's maid, Mammy Two Shoes, gives him a stern warning. If he breaks one more thing, he's out on the street. Jinx, the mouse, overhears this and sees his chance. He spends the rest of the cartoon threatening to smash glasses, plates, and vases, essentially building a shield of breakables around himself. Jasper is forced to frantically protect the very things he'd normally destroy. In the end, Jasper fails, and he gets the boot. Puss Gets the Boot was released to theaters without much fanfare. Hanna and Barbera were even told not to put all their eggs in one basket and started working on other projects. But then, something incredible happened. Audiences and theater owners loved it. The short was a massive hit, and, to the shock of many, was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. Hanna and Barbera had pulled it off. Their cat and mouse concept was a success. Now, there was just one tiny problem. Nobody at the studio really liked the names Jasper and Jinx. With the runaway success of Puss Gets the Boot, MGM knew it had a hit series on its hands. More shorts were ordered from Hanna and Barbera, but the studio wanted a fresh start with catchier names. Jasper and Jinx just didn't have that punchy, memorable ring to it like Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny. So, in a classic old Hollywood move, the studio turned it into an event. They held a competition right there in the animation department. An announcement went out to all the artists. We need new names for the cat and mouse. A prize was offered for the winning suggestion. Not a fortune, but enough to get the creative energy flowing. You can just picture it. Animators at their desks, sketching characters while scribbling down name ideas. Scraps of paper being passed around. The buzz was on. Everyone wanted to be the one to name the next big cartoon stars. The future of these characters, the names they would carry for nearly a century, all came down to suggestions dropped into a hat. Out of all the names submitted, one pair stood out: Tom and Jerry. It was simple, classic, and felt instantly familiar. The suggestion came from an animator named John Carr, who won the grand prize of $50 for his idea. That may not sound like much, but it was a pretty nice sum back then. With the new names locked in, the second cartoon, The Midnight Snack, was released in 1941 as the first official Tom and Jerry short. From that moment on, they were no longer Jasper and Jinx. They were Tom the cat and Jerry the mouse. The names stuck, and a legendary duo was born. For just $50, John Carr had named what would become one of the most successful animated series in history. But why did the names Tom and Jerry just feel so right? The answer might be found more than a century before the cartoon was ever drawn. It turns out, Tom and Jerry was already a popular phrase in the 1800s. The term came from an 1821 book by British journalist Piers Egan called Life in London. It followed the adventures of two young men, Corinthian Tom and Jerry Hawthorne, as they lived a wild, rowdy life across the city. The book was so popular it became a stage play, and the phrase Tom and Jerry became slang for young men who liked to drink, gamble, and cause a bit of chaos. To promote the play, Egan even helped create a Christmas time drink, a warm eggnog and brandy mix called a Tom and Jerry. That's still enjoyed today. So when John Carr suggested the names, he was likely tapping into this older cultural idea. Tom and Jerry already meant boisterous, chaotic fun, a perfect fit for the cartoon's slapstick energy. Whether it was a conscious historical nod or just a lucky coincidence, the name perfectly captured the spirit of the characters' riotous rivalry. The new names were just the start. The incredible success of Tom and Jerry was built on relentless creative genius. A single 7-minute cartoon was a massive undertaking, taking a team of artists months and over 15,000 individual drawings to complete. Every frame was drawn and painted by hand before being photographed. The music wasn't just in the background, it was a full score, composed to match every single on-screen action, creating a perfect symphony of comedy. That dedication paid off. Between 1940 and 1958, Hanna-Barbera era produced 114 Tom and Jerry shorts for MGM. In that time, the series won an amazing 7 Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Film, tying Disney's Silly Symphonies for the most wins in that category. The names Tom and Jerry also proved to be a stroke of genius for global branding. Because the cartoons had almost no dialogue, their humor was completely visual. Anyone, anywhere, could get the joke. The names were easy for people to remember and say all over the world, helping them become household names from Tokyo to Tennessee. That simple decision to ditch Jasper and Jinx was a small but crucial step on their path to becoming global icons. From the desperate halls of a struggling studio to worldwide superstardom, the story of Tom and Jerry is a testament to creativity under pressure. It's amazing to think that the names we all know so well came from a $50 office contest, and that the characters who defined cartoon comedy for generations began as Jasper and Jinx. The legacy of Hanna-Barbera's creation is undeniable. They didn't just make a hit cartoon, they created a universal language of laughter. They proved that a simple story, told with breathtaking skill and perfect timing, could make the whole world laugh. So the next time you see that gray cat get outsmarted by a tiny brown mouse, remember the story of how they got their names. A small, but vital, piece of animation history. If you enjoyed this trip into cartoon history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. And let us know in the comments, do you think Jasper and Jinx could have been as famous as Tom and Jerry? We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching.